We have breaking news that has to do with COVID-19, and the World Health Organization has just declared it is a pandemic.
Say New Orleans is considered a hot spot.
Dining in is out starting tonight.
If you just think about it, in a period of 4 months, it has devastated the world, and it isn't over yet.
In the year 2020, the nation faced one of the greatest trials in its history. Families had to remain separated. Schools were closed, and thousands of loved ones were lost to an unseen and unpredictable enemy, the novel coronavirus. In March, the 377th Theater Sustainment Command got the call. From across the country, hundreds of soldier citizens within our ranks came to the nation's aid and arrived in the Crescent City to provide support for Army North's fight against COVID-19. Charting untested waters, the soldiers donned masks, stayed socially distant, and worked through all the unique challenges of the new environment to make the mission succeed.
We knew New Orleans was a sensitive area, and all the soldiers that were arriving to support the mission, as well as those that were already here, had to adapt. Soldiers came into that environment and were able to adapt to the various measures that we put in place, especially with social distancing, PPE, whether it was masks. Early on, some were wearing gloves to ensure that certain areas were kept clean. It was amazing the work that was done in that short a period of time. I'm so proud of these soldiers and the work that was accomplished during this mission.
As the mission took its form, we established our partnerships with the units that we would come to work with for the duration of our response. The 377th had control of 3 sustainment commands which were spread across the country, with missions as varied as their locations. Out of Fort Hood, Texas, the 13th Expeditionary Sustainment Command began assisting with the movement of the 9th Hospital Center from Texas to the Javits Center in New York, almost as soon as the mission began. The lucky 13th was responsible for assets in the center of the country and relocated over 300 medical personnel to New York and the front line against COVID-19. Through line haul movement of goods and contracting to support the troops along the way, the 13th proved a critical component in our ability to respond to the heavily hit area. In the West, the 4th Expeditionary Sustainment Command out of Fort Sam Houston, Texas, oversaw the movement of over 700 soldiers to the Seattle, Washington area in support of a large makeshift field hospital constructed at the CenturyLink Field Event Center. A mission of this scale was no small undertaking and required the movement of over 125 containers of medical equipment and supplies to support the 250-bed hospital. The 4th maintained control over the logistics support for the operation until health officials determined the assistance was no longer needed as coronavirus cases began to wane. To the east, the 3rd Expeditionary Sustainment Command of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, received and processed over 3,200 personnel to respond to the crisis. The command staged over 115 vehicles and generators, provided 230 containers full of medical equipment for support, and served over 8,400 meals to service members on their way to the fight while they operated. In order to support the movement of so many, the 3rd worked tirelessly on contracts for lodging, laundry, and transportation to enable the essential medical personnel they supported to take on COVID-19. But our mission didn't stop there. There really is no place like home, and the headquarters of the 377th made an impact right here in New Orleans. With over 300 headquarters personnel from across the country working on the nationwide response from here in southern Louisiana, we established contracts with local businesses to ensure the non-local soldiers were safely taken care of during the response. In many cases, this was a huge boon to the local economy that was hurt by the coronavirus.
The coronavirus shut down our industry, and in doing so, it also shut down our employment for our personal employees, along with many others. Luckily, the 377 came to the rescue, at least for my hotel, and was able to give us rooms and give us their lodging needs. They cried when I let them go, and they cried when I called them back. Without the 377, that would have never happened. On a side note, I myself am a corona survivor. I almost tapped out one night, except I made my husband swear on a stack of Bibles he would never take me to the hospital. I said, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die in my bed. Almost threw it in, but I survived. I'm here. I'm glad to be the leader of this property, and I'm glad to know as many of the soldiers that have stayed at my hotel. I know each one of them by name.
Additionally, we played a pivotal role in receiving Navy medical personnel into theater and transporting them to the local hospitals they would support. The 377th would screen all the sailors for COVID-19 for travel to hospitals, both in New Orleans and nearby Baton Rouge. All the while, we were the lead in the nationwide logistics support on behalf of U.S. Army North. In this mission, we supervised and maintained the operations of the 3rd, 4th, and 13th Sustainment Commands and enabled them to get the job done in the darkest of times. We were proud to be a part of this historic response and will continue to be ready to respond to whatever may come in the times ahead. Thank you for your support, New Orleans, and know that the next time you need us, we'll be there.